Hey, Scott from aristocob.com here.
And Seth from SethMarkwood.com.
Together, the three of us, we are Markwood Ben's Breakfast Club. Welcome back once again. Good morning, boy.
Good morning, Homer.
Whoa, look at that smoke.
Yeah, it's how we do. Hey, happy belated Father's Day.
Thank you very much, boy. I appreciate that. And, I've always felt it weird to wish anybody other than my own father happy Father's Day. And I'm not exactly sure why that is, because I want your Father's Day to be happy as well.
Yeah.
But because you're not my dad, it just has always, same with Mother's Day, has always made me feel weird.
Doesn't make me feel weird.
In person, I'd say to somebody, hope you're having a great Father's Day or something like that.
Yeah, doesn't make me feel weird. We went to a baseball game, and my son Ender ended up chasing a foul ball with another kid. They bumped heads. And so, they checked on each other. And as the father and son were leaving, came by, and he wished me a happy Father's Day, shook my hand. It was the day before Father's Day. And that was nice. It was unexpected, a nice little touch. So.
Okay.
Happy Father's Day.
Thanks, boy. See, you can tell me. Tell me that.
I was neglectful and didn't call or wish you a happy Father's Day on Father's Day.
I saw you the day before, and you wished me a happy Father's Day, so we're good.
That's one of those instances where it's the thought that counts, right?
Yeah.
Good.
Absolutely. So speaking of the thought counting, I posted this on Instagram. This was something that Seth's kids, I have 7 grandchildren. He has given me 3 of them, and his 3 made this for me. Now, the oldest grandchild years ago, 9-year-old, gave me the nickname Ga. We're not exactly sure where that comes from, but they call my wife Gappy. And so I'm Ga. And so this says, our Ga rocks. And it's made of rocks. And if you can get that closer to the camera, they need to see the details on this. Okay, glasses, goatee, but best of all, the shirt is plaid. I think it's fantastic.
Best of all, the shirt he wore to lunch
was a match.
Was a perfect match on the day they gave that to him.
And I said, well, what's this? And he says, that's your cane. What's funny was the day that we met for lunch, I was walking with a walker. I hadn't transitioned to a cane, and he included a cane. Well, guess what happened today, boy?
Hey!
Woo!
Congratulations.
I graduated. I graduated to a cane, so.
Well, let's come back to Father's Day then.
Yeah, because I'm not done, because my other grandkids made cards for me, and they were interpreted. This is by the 7-year-old, so it's got me smoking a pipe.
Oh, that's a big old pipe.
Yeah, it is.
That's a lumberjack for sure. Corn-cob lumberjack.
The rest of them were translated by their parents. I asked Stinkbug. I said, "So, what does this one have in it?" She says, "That's a mean dog and a flower." Oh, okay. Then so what's this over here? That's a heart. Well, thank you for the Father's Day guard dog that I got. BG made I love you, Ga. I heard you, Ga, and a pumpkin head. And then the youngest one, 3-year-old, just scribbled something on there.
Nice.
But what's funny is she came out here and she described that for me, that she drew that for me. That's my Father's Day. This is your Father's Day, Ga. Well, yes, it is.
And they had just gotten back from a 2-week trip.
They were a couple weeks,
right?
A couple weeks in Kentucky visiting some family friends of ours. What boy knows is my brother-in-law, I have had 4 sisters. One of them passed away, and I'm in the middle. And the one that's a year older than me, she's married to a guy named David. And David's big brother, Tim, is also my friend. Oh. And Tim and David and I have been friends since I was in junior high school. And we're very close with Tim and his wife, Kim. They've actually been in a video on my channel where we were taste testing coffee. I think that was maybe the Aristogrub channel.
I remember that because that was the debate between, what was it?
K-Cups.
That's right.
Yeah. Funny video, actually. I encourage you to go check that out. But anyway, They have 3 daughters who you guys grew up with. They were just your buddies, and I'm sure you guys even assumed you were cousins at some point. Because what's weird is Tim's brother's kids are your cousins.
Yes.
So we're related but not related. And our daughter is very close with one of their daughters. And so when it turned out that I was getting my knee fixed, and Dana was in the hospital with some issues, my daughter was in the hospital with some issues, and both of us were going through physical therapy, Erin, our friend in Kentucky, said, why don't you let me take your kids? Yeah. So she has herself 3 children and took upon herself 4 more kids for 2 weeks. And I got to say, that was such a gift.
Yeah.
Because every little thing, every bump from the dog on my walker, every little thing that got left on the floor was a trip hazard, and that was just stuff I was leaving on the floor. With 4 kids, it could have been a real problem. So, but past that now, I'm PT. I have one more in-home PT, and then doctor's appointment on Thursday. And at that point, I don't know what, there may be some like in-office PT to come, but it's going really well, really well. Last week, I had an interesting situation. I had a weeks of oxycodone, so an opioid, and I had been doing my exercises and doing pretty well with them, and I was feeling about the pain I expected to. Tuesday, I took my last pill. Wednesday morning, I wake up and start doing my own exercises, and oh my gosh, for the first time, I'm feeling this terrible pain diagonally across my knee from the upper inside across to the opposite side. And for the very first time, I was feeling what felt like the incision. Yeah. I couldn't have pointed out to you where under that Band-Aid was the incision, but now suddenly I'm feeling this intense pain. So I had PT that day, and the guy said, look, contact your doctor. They don't want you to be in pain, but they probably also don't want you taking that opioid. So I called them up. They, sure enough, switched the medicine on me, got me another medicine. And then since then, I've not had any of those problems. And my thinking behind wanting to go ahead and get that medicine is, as long as I have my pain being blocked, I'm going to work as hard as I can to build up my muscles and to get my motion and everything. Because once that medicine's gone, I know me. I'm not going to want to push myself as hard. Yeah. And so things have gone really well.
Good.
And yeah.
So I broke my femur twice as a kid, once when I was 8, once when I was 12, and one of the distinct conversations I remember having with the surgeon or doctor after surgery was they took me off of the pain meds pretty soon after the surgery. And the doctor, I remember him saying, pain is your friend. And in an instance where you've had a surgery like this, what he pointed out is it's really easy when you're on the opioids, when you're on the really heavy-duty pain meds, to do too much and actually cause more issues, rip things, cause more damage to yourself than you're intending to, because you just can't tell when your body has hit the limit. So it's a delicate balance.
The one thing it hurt, no matter where I was doing it, whether I was laying on my back, whether I was sitting, whether I was standing, was the knee bend. So basically, bending my knee.
The reflex test. Every time they'd hit with the hammer, and just that tiny hammer. Oh.
But it was because the knee was so swollen. There was so much liquid on the knee. It was as if, imagine the hinge on your front door and somebody jamming a wedge into that. I couldn't move it any tighter. And I could feel it. I could feel tendons and things that ran across the top and over the kneecap were just not going to budge any further than they were. Yeah. And so I was smart enough not to push that, because I knew that was probably going to hurt me if I didn't pay extra careful attention to that. So
hey, we neglected to do something.
What's that? Start the camera?
I don't think so. Hope not. We neglected to mention what we're smoking this evening. We just kind of jumped right into it. And one of the reasons that we neglected that is because we're just kind of smoking around. We're just hanging out. So I'm smoking 1Q that I had in my bag.
And I'm smoking Lane RLP6. So I've got a couple large bags here. I've got a bag of Sutliff 1M. That's sort of their answer to 1Q. I've got a bag of RLP6. And I have got a bag from Tinderbox of Captain Spice. And then some miscellaneous tins back here. Don't have any 1Q back here, so that's weird.
Brought my own. So
what have you been up to, boy?
Had a really good Father's Day weekend. Nice and relaxing. We went to a baseball game. High Point, North Carolina, our city, has just this year created a new baseball stadium, and they have a team that's part of the Atlantic League, which is a non-Major League Baseball league. And so I know very little about sports, but what I have been told and what I have gathered is that traditionally that we have Greensboro has a team, the Greensboro Grasshoppers. They are part
AA or AAA something.
Yeah, one of the A's. They are part of the system that bleeds into minor league, bleeds into the major league franchise teams. I don't know what team they're affiliated with. Probably the Braves or something. I don't know. This league is separate from the traditional league.
There's only like 30 teams in this league too, right? It's a very small number of teams.
I'm not sure, but they made a great stadium. The stadium is just excellent. One of the coolest things is they've got like a huge play place area. They've got like giant Connect Four games. They've got a big. They've got wheel carts. They've got a playground area. They had a bounce house there this weekend, so really kid friendly because it's kind of smaller. It seemed like a smaller stadium. The other one,
very small stadium.
It was, but it is smaller, but it didn't feel small. But one of the things that's some of the ways that the league is unique is that it's basically like the second string league, right? And so it's where players who have either they didn't make it, they didn't make the team, or they've been cut, or they had an injury and couldn't get back in after the injury, or maybe they have just aged out. All of these players are on this team. And so one of the unique things is as they're displaying the players' names, it shows the highest level played. And so on the High Point team, I think 4 or 5 of the players on the team, their highest level played is Major League Baseball. So, some of them it's AAA, some of them AA, some of them are just the Atlantic League, so they've come into the league. But I mean, you're not getting ripped off on the quality of play that you saw. But some of the other funky things about the league, one of them is they had a doubleheader. The game was a doubleheader. Well, in the doubleheader, they only had to play to the 7th inning. And so the game was over after the 7th inning for both of the 2 games, which actually is kind of nice as a viewer who doesn't have a vested interest in these teams. Again, not a sports person, just there to enjoy the game. It's kind of nice because it cuts down on some of the time. You're not having to pay any extra. So our tickets were $6 a piece.
My gosh.
Right? And so we didn't have to pay extra for that. After the second game, they had fireworks. So that was excellent. One of the other things is apparently in a normal game that goes to 9 innings, if it goes to extra innings, I called it overtime earlier, and somebody corrected me. They're quick to correct me. It's not overtime in baseball. It's extra innings. If the game goes to extra innings, they preload second base with a player.
Oh, wow.
To help facilitate scoring.
That's interesting.
And so I get the impression that it's a league where they're willing to try some new things. I don't know. But I mean, it definitely, top to bottom, the experience was very, very customer friendly.
Lots of stuff going on between the innings, and
it seemed like the time was kind of compressed. They didn't have as much. Like normally when you go to a bigger game, or like our AAA team, when you go there, there's more time between innings. There's a lot more of the mascot just dancing around and doing stuff. There was less of that. There were a couple of those.
They have a mascot, by the way.
They have a mascot. It appears to be a rocking horse. It looks as if there are probably some donors. One of the ways that they had donors is there are some rocking chairs there, and so I don't know that they have distinguished what a rocker is. But
so can you explain why High Point? What the significance of a rocker? If it's a rocking chair, for example, what would that be?
Yeah, so
riffing on.
So High Point is the furniture capital of the world. It was for a very long time a industrial city that was built on just the furniture market. Now, as a city, much of the yearly revenue comes from the twice a year furniture marketplace. It's called Furniture Market, but instead of being factories and production, it's actually a sales venue for manufacturers of various furniture. And so the whole city shuts down for these 4 weeks out of the year, 2 in the spring, 2 in the fall. People rent out their homes because it's lucrative to do that, because you have C-level executives coming in, and they're not there to buy a living room suite for their home. They're there to buy the couch that will be in every Hyatt suite room in the world. And so there's a lot of big business
for
that gets done.
Retail stores, think furniture, rooms to go, or
what are they going to be
like that.
selling in this year's
That's
catalog?
Right. They're looking at, they're 6 months out. So in the spring market, they are seeing the products that they're going to commit to, that the factories will then produce, and then that they'll be selling in the fall. So it gives them time to get their advertising and marketing and everything together. It's interesting going to the market a few times, and you have to be in the trade to get a pass to go into it. You see them doing a lot of experimentation and a lot of things that should never have been done. Like one of my favorite styles of woodworking is what's called the mission style, also arts and crafts, also prairie. They're all very similar. Frank Lloyd Wright did a lot of stuff in that style. And this was done turn of the last century was when that was a big deal. And they determined back in those days what kind of materials, what kind of finishes, what kind of joinery would be considered part of that style. And so more than anything else, if you see a piece of furniture that's mission style, it's going to be quarter sawn white oak. And quarter sawn is a way of cutting the wood to bring out a particular look of the wood. It's a beautiful look, very stable when you quarter saw wood. Well, you'll go into a show or a display room, and there'll be a bunch of furniture in there, and the first thing that'll hit you is something is not right about this. And then you realize it's mission furniture, but it's all in cherry, or it's all in walnut, or it's painted, or something that was not traditional. And by and large, that tends to fail. It's very, very rare that you see something coming out of furniture market that is taking a traditional look and completely turning it over on its head. Usually when it's successful is like a very small integration of something. So maybe they incorporate some metal.
A USB port.
Yeah, well, or something like that. So that's always interesting. It's happened every single time I've gone to market, where I'll walk around the corner and something that, even though I may not have studied it, I will see it and I notice immediately something is not right. And then I'll step back and take it in and realize, okay, that's usually done in leather. This is done in some flowered fabric. You don't ever see this with a flowered fabric upholstery.
Some company being too clever and
they're trying
to lead. I mean, so that's an interesting conversation, because we have been having similar conversations at our company, actually, because there's a direction that we are pondering going, which could be for us the equivalent of Apple removing the headphone dock from their iPhone. You know, when they did that, everybody scoffed and laughed at them, and their point of view is it's coming, and we're just leading the way. And they're big enough that they can make a move like that and not feel the consequences too much. And it's yet to be seen if they're right. Most phones are still being manufactured with a headphone jack. But if it turns out,
and the rest of us still have to use a dongle,
right? So I do imagine that the number of sales in their AirPods went through the roof with the next iteration of the phone.
If I'm not going to plug it in,
I might as well have good AirPods, headphones. And so, it's interesting. Taking those risks can be very difficult because you want to innovate, you want to be the first to market with something new, and you hope that you're reading the market well. But largely, the market's like a Titanic. I mean,
slow to change.
Slow. You got to move it with very small increments.
It's true.
So,
well, that's interesting. I was at a trade show in Germany a couple weeks ago, and I saw some of the same things. And like you say, here's cabinet and furniture and kitchens and things like that in the woodworking industry, where they are incorporating into it, like you said, USB ports, right? They're incorporating electronics. And it seems really cool until you go around the corner and you see a display that has a built-in charger for a 30-pin iPhone.
Right.
And you realize, wow, that is so dated.
Yeah.
And that's only, 5 years ago? So it's dangerous when you start incorporating modern media and modern technology into what is a traditional product. But it's so convenient to sit in your rocker or your recliner and to charge your phone while you're sitting there.
I remember you pointing that out to me once. One time I was visiting your shop, and you said, looking at a kitchen installation, you said, what is the thing in here that's going to be outdated fastest? And you pointed to the 30-pin iPhone dock. And this is going to change. And at this point, there's no easy way for the consumer to change it. And that shifted my thinking to aftermarket upgrades, and finding systems that marry together well that allow for easy upgrades. So like the one that I have cautioned people away from many times now is smart TVs, because smart TV is integrated with a Roku or Apple TV or whatever the software is. Usually it's a proprietary version of the software that won't get updates the same way as the independent hardware. And when it dies, the TV becomes incompatible.
It's a weight, paperweight.
And so I've told many friends, I've said, look, you're paying an extra $250 for the smart TV features, which is essentially the same features you get from the $100 Roku. Get the bigger
or
TV
Google
for
Chrome,
less, right?
Or Apple TV.
Yeah, get the bigger TV that costs you less, and then the cost savings, buy the smart TV piece, because in 2 years, when you need to replace it, you're replacing that $100 Apple TV and not the $600 television.
Yeah, that's good advice. Wow, who raised you?
Mom. She did a pretty good job too.
Oh, way to end a Father's Day episode.
So, I think we should also point out before we end that if you can't hear us, it's because our new lapel microphones failed, or because user error failed to get them to work the right way.
Or if you did hear us,
it's because I did it right.
And we're using new microphones.
That's right. Yeah. So we're interested to see what the quality of this audio is. I did realize, like 5 minutes in, that I've positioned it on the wrong side. I should have it over here.
Oh, you're looking away from it.
But that's why I'm trying not to look at you while talking. Well, we'll see. Will I change it before next week? Probably not. You know why? Because the clip is pointing this way, and getting it over here would be awkward.
You flip the clip over.
We'll see. So
hey,
let's talk about those for a second.
If you like it, should we put a link to it?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is the Powered Wise.
Here's the.
this version comes with a long extension cable. So it's got the microphone piece. It has an extension cable piece that's separate, and then it has a splitter. So this was a two-for kit. So it splits, and then the other piece that we had to get is the adapter, the dongle, to make it from the iPhone without the headphone jack to accept the headphone jack.
Which, again, on Amazon. We got this on Amazon. I got a twofer of the dongle for like $6 and something. So it didn't hurt to get them both.
Yeah.
Or to get two. And we had talked about this a long time ago. Boy purchased the single version of this and liked it, spoke highly of it. And so I decided, well, I would buy the single version. But then when I looked at what the single version cost, plus adding all of the accessories that didn't come with the single version that would get us to here, I thought, well, let's just go ahead and buy the 2-pack. And then that way you can leave yours at home, which inevitably you will do.
Yep. So the pro-con of this setup is both of our audio channels are going into a single audio line. And so if his microphone messes up, if it's not plugged in all the way, or if there's ruffling or something, it messes up the audio for the whole video. There's no way to recover that. But we're going to play with it. It's especially good out here filming on the patio because there's a lot of ambient noise. I had to do some touching up in whatever software I use, Adobe Premiere, to do the video editing to clean up some of the audio last week. But if this goes well, it may result in us posting some podcast stuff. So
now
we'll see.
They won't notice a difference next week, though. Are we recording another episode?
Yeah.
Okay. So
no, you might notice a difference next week.
You might move the mic to the other
because
side.
I might move the mic to the other side, but probably
Very good.
not. Yeah.
Very good. You will not notice any improvement in my knee next week. How about that?
There we go.
All right, great. Well, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you personally for joining us.
Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
Belated Father's Day.
And make it a great week.
See ya.